Okay, good night, everyone. Welcome back. As we are sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Nishmas, Yaakov Zeb ben Yudaya, Rivka bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam bas Gad, Yosef ben Sion ben Yaakov Zeb, Lefu Shalema for Moshe Aya ben Miriam, for a great shidduch for Chayat Tzivya bas Shoshana Gittel, a great shidduch for Batya bas Sarah, by Baruch Ian Lila Mishmas Yaakov Chaim and Abba Esther bas Yona, Avram ben Shmuel HaKohen, Lefu Shalema for Liba bas Anya, Lefu Shalema for Yosef Shmuel ben Miriam, and for a healthy mommy, healthy baby, for Lior Sarah bas El Zarifka and Ariel bas El Zarifka. We'll learn Lefu Shalema for Aaron ben Sarah and Yochai ben Rechama. We'll learn Lefu Shalema for Sarah bas Fei. Lefu Shalema for Moshe Meir ben Estefado, Yitzhak ben Sim ben Dusha. They should have Lefu Shalema b'Seich Shachar Yisrael. And we are starting here by the new Mishnah on Daf Pei Hey Amud Aleph. Ein mevi'in lo, we cannot bring the grain not from a fertilized field. Now, there are different reasons, but we'll learn the reason that the fertilizer has an odor, and it gives it an odor. After all, fertilizer is manure. And not from a field that needs irrigation. Not from a field that has trees growing it, because the tree saps the nutrients from the grain. But v'imhevi kosher, if you bring it, it's kosher. What's the premium way to manufacture the grain for the shtei alechem? Nora shana rishayna. What he does is the first year he plows the field. Ubeshana shniya, the second year, I said the shtei alechem, the omer. Ubeshana shniya, the second year, zoyra koydem lepesach shivim yom. He plants it before Pesach 70 days. V'u oises soilos meruba, and it then produces very much fine flour. Now the gizbar, how does he check to make sure that the flour is up to snuff? Keitzad boidek hagizbar. How does the gizbar check? Machnis yadoi l'seichon. He puts his hand in the flour. Alaba avak, if dust rises, it's not sifted enough. Psula, it's not good. Achi nafena, until it's sifted more. V'im hisliya, if it becomes wormy, it's psula. So now we're going to get the nuts and bolts of how this works. The first year, the second year. Keitzad Eisen Norishana Rishayna, he plows it the first year to kill all the weeds. Says the Gemara, Heichi Kamen, Norishana Shniya, he plows it the first year, Ushniya Naira Vizara, and the second year he plows it again and plants it. Oidoma Norishana Rishayna, he plows it the first year, Ushniya Zaras Beloy Nara. And the second year, he right away plants without having to plow beforehand. Toshma, the Tanya Omer Reb Yosi, Af Chite Karzayim v'Kfar Achim, also the wheat of Karzayim and Kfar Achim, Ilmole Smuchas Yerushalayim, if it would be nearby Yerushalayim, Hayumavia Mehen, we would bring from them, but we don't want to do it lefisha ein mevi'in as aimer element asadis hamudramais. We only bring from fields that are on the south, because the sun stays in the southern part of the sky. Vahamenunorais, and also that is plowed. Now the reason why we don't bring it from Karzayim and Kfar Achim is because since it's not close to Yerushalayim, we don't want to be maver ala mitzvah, so we don't want to pass the places that are closer. Remember, I told you that the Haggadah Malamaisa says a fascinating minig of when you're putting in the 3 matzahs for the Seder, you should let the second matzah, the middle matzah, stick out more. So that way, when you take the second matzah for yachatz, you don't have to pass the first matzah. You're not passing it because the second one is already sticking out. It's a beautiful minhag. Now, why do we use the fields that are to the south? Shebehem chama zeirechas, because the sun is more in the southern part of the sky. Umehem chama shekas, and there the sun sets. Keitzad oisa. So now let's get to the bottom of this plowing business. Nora shana rishon, he plows it the first year. Ushnia chayresh, the second year he plows. V'shayna, and repeats the plowing. V'zayra kaidon l'pesach shivul yom. Kedei shetei smucha, and we said that it should be. I just want to check on the gears over here. We planted before Pesach 70 days. Kedei shetei smucha l'chama. It should be near the spring, where the sun is strong. V'oisa, and then if we use this process, v'oisa kana zeres, the stalk will be a span, which is a half an amma. V'shibailas, and the edible part will be zartayim, will be 2 spans, will be a full amma. The kaitza, then he harvests it. Amar, he piles it up. V'dashi, he threshes it. V'zora, he winnows it. V'ira, he selects the teichen. He grinds it. Umaraket, and he sifts it. Umevi eitzel gizber, he brings it to the gizber. V'gizber machas yado l'seicha. The gizber sticks his hand inside. Im also ba'avak, if some dust comes up. I'm a lach chazar v'nafa isa shniya. You gotta sift it more. Mishim Rav Nasan Amru, the Gizber does a different thing. Gizber Sach Yodai Shemen, he coats his hand with oil, or Machnis L'Seicha, and puts it into the flour at Shemala Kol Afka, until all the dust adheres to his hand. But Katani Mias Chayresh V'Shaina, that the second year you plow and you repeat. Says the Gemara, well, that's not like our Mishnah. Our Mishnah doesn't say anything about repeating plowing. The whole question was, you have to plow once in the second year. But it doesn't say anything about repeating 2 times. The Brisa says you repeat it. So that you can't say that the Brisa is explaining the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Haloi Kasha, Kan ba'avuda, kan b'she'enam avuda. One is talking about a field that was cultivated from years before. If a field is cultivated from years before, you don't have to plow it twice. Kan b'she'ena avuda, but if it was a field that wasn't cultivated from years before, then you have to plow it twice. But what's the bottom line? The bottom line, do you have to plow it? Do you don't have to plow it? So Tashma, the Tanya, what you do is Nir Chetzia V'Zareya Chetzia. The first year, you plow and you leave half of the field fallow and plant the other half of the field. Nir Chetzia, the second year, you plow the part of the field that you planted, V'Zareya Chetzia, and you plant the part of the field that you left fallow the year before. So you see that you don't have to plow what you plant a second time. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ein mevi'en es ha'omer, ela min hasadis hamudramais shebe'eretz Yisrael. You only bring it from fields that are to the south of Eretz Yisrael. Shebehem chama zerachas, mehem chama shekas, there the sun shines, there the sun sets. Tanya Namihachi Abishal Omer Hayabam in Bikas Base Mikla. The Omer came from Bikas Base Mikla, which produced Kibas Gimel Sa Ma'isa. It produced enough grain for 3 sa, which we said was the opinion of how much grain you have to harvest for the Omer. V'Sada Madramas Haisa, it was a suddenly field. Obacham Azarachas Umimena Chamashivakas. there the sun shines, there the sun sets. Ner chetzia v'zareh chetzia, the first year you plow half and you plant half. The second year, ner chetzia, you plow the other half that you planted. V'zareh chetzia, that you left fallow. Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvi Havalei Karna Da'ara, he had a plot of land. Ner chetzia v'zareh chetzia, ner chetzia v'zareh chetzia. He used this method of alternately plowing and planting. Of the al-chad tray, and it produced double what a normal field would produce. And it was such good quality that he sold the wheat to produce fine flour. Now, the imisliya psula, if the grain becomes wormy, it's possible. Tan Rabbanan, soilas she'esliya ruba psula. A flour that the majority is wormy, it's possible. That means if you have a sack and the majority of it is wormy, the whole sack is possible. The chitin she'esliya ruban, and wheat that the majority of it is wormy, psulos. Now the question is, when we say the wheat, if the majority of it is wormy, it's possible. Does it also have to be that every kernel is wormy in the majority? Or even if the kernels that are wormy are only in the minority, but if it's the majority of the kernels, it's no good. So by Rava, by Rabbi Yirmiyah, b'rayv chita, does it also have to be the majority of each kernel? Or even if each kernel is only in the minority, but if it's the majority of the saw, it's no good. Teiku tishbi atar, it's kushis v'bayis. Now, here the Gemara wants to know, the din is, who's a wise guy? Yitzi. He's a wise guy. He's not muted, he's a wise guy. Right? So, we know if Yitzi would be makdish a balmum, he would get malchus. Can't be makdish a balmum. What if he's makdish wormy flour? Will he get malchus? So the Gemara says, Boy Rava hikdishon mao sheyilka aleh mishum balmum. If he's makdish wormy flour, will he get malchus for being makdish, like being makdish a blemished animal? Kaven the puzzle, well, since wormy flour is puzzle, kebalmum dami. Oidoma ain balmum ela bebehema. That law is only by a behema. Take it. Same shaila. Tanan asim kol eichin imtza by talas puzzle legabi mizbeach. We know we pick the choicest wood for the maracha. If it's wormy, it's puzzle for the mizbeach. That's only if the wood is still moist. Aval yavish, if the wood is dry, you could just scrape away the wormy spot and it's kosher. So here again, what happens if Yitzi dedicates wormy wood? Does he get malchus? By Rabbi Tishu Mao Sheyukalav. Does he get malchus mishum balmum? Does he get malchus because of, like he's dedicating a blemished animal? Do we say came in the puzzle, since wormy wood is puzzle kebalmum dami? Then it's like being makdish an animal that's blemished. The din of getting malchus is only by behema, not by wormy wood. Take tishbi atar, it's kushis v'bayis. Now we're going to talk about oil, right? Because the menachos need oil. So where do we get the choicest oil from? Where do we get it from? Says the Gemara, Tekua. Let's try to mute people here. Okay. I'll use my super controls here. Okay. So now, Tekua Alpha L'Shemen. There was a place called Tekua. That's grade A plus oil. Abishalayim Shniyala, the second best place, is Regev Be'ever Yarden. Regev on the Transjordan. Now, Kol HaRatz Tzayik Shevis, anywhere in Eretz Yisrael is kosher. El Mikana Yomavim, these are the best places. Again, Ein Mavim Lo Mebeis HaZavalim, we don't bring it from a olive grove that's fertilized, because the fertilizer, which is manure, has a foul odor. Not from a field that needs irrigation, nor from a field that has other species planted between the olive groves, because again that saps the nutrients. If you brought it, it's kosher. Ein bevian an pikton, or an piknoin, there's two different gersas. Tomorrow we'll learn what an piknoin is. But vimhevi kosher, if you bring the species known as an piknoin, it's kosher. You can't bring olives that were soaked in water, not olives that are pickled, or boiled. And if you bring from them, that's puzzle. That's puzzle for sure. Now again, we're talking about oil for the menachos. Now once we mentioned tekuah, we're going to quote something that has to do in Tanakh about the place of tekuah. Remember, there was a great tragedy. The Amnon slept with Tamar. It was a tragedy. Avshalom then went ahead and assassinated Amnon for what he did to his sister. Yoav wanted to reconcile David with Avshalom after Avshalom killed Amnon. And he brought a wise woman from Tekoa to use about a mushel to try to reconcile David HaMelech with Avshalom. So the Gemara says, "Vayishlach Yoav Tekoa," he sent to Tekoa, "Vayikach misham isha chachama," and brought from there a wise woman. So the Gemara says, "Ma'ishna Tekoa." Why did he go to Tekoa? Because olive oil brings wisdom. Since they used a lot of the best, the premium olive oil, that gave more ability to become wise. Tan Rabbanan, in the property of Usher, there was a lot of oil. So it says, "V'toivo b'shemen ragloi," that in the property of Usher, there was a lot of oil. You could dip your foot in oil. Zeh chelkai shel Usher, shemoishich shemen k'ma'ayin. That oil flowed there like from a fountain. Amru pam echad nitzuku lehem anshe Lutkia b'shemen. The city of Lutkia needed a large amount of oil. Minu lahem polmustus echad. They appointed a certain agent. Amru lai, and they said to him, Leich v'havei lanu shemen b'meya ribai. Bring us 1,000,000 zuz, or dinner. Well, it's 100 times 10,000. 110,000 is 1,000,000. Bring us 1,000,000 dinner of oil. Halach Yerushalayim, he went to Yerushalayim. Amrulay leich l'tzur. They told him to go to Tzur. Halach l'tzur. Amrulay, they said to him, leich l'gush chalav. Halach l'gush chalav. Amrulay leich eitzel plaini l'sad halaz. Go to this person who has olive groves. Umatzu, and he found him. Now, if this person had 1,000,000 zuz of oil, he could afford workers. But Umatzu shahaya Isaac tachas Esav. He found him hoeing himself underneath olives. Amrullah, they said to him, Yeshlach shemen b'meya ribuy. Do you have 1,000,000 zuz worth of dinner worth of oil? Shani tzarach. Amrullah, so he said to him, Hamtein li ad sheyasayim malachti. Wait until I finish my work. Himtim at shesayim malachti, lach shesayim malachti, hifshel kelev lachurav. He didn't have a worker, he didn't have a wagon. He swung his equipment behind his back. As he was walking, he was removing stones, again, menial labor along the way. Amalai, so he said to him, Yeshlach Shemen b'mea ribai, do you have $1 million worth of oil? And he figured, Kimiduma ani, it looks to me, Sheschaik Sachak bi Yehudin, that the Jews are making sport of me. Because this man, obviously, he doesn't have any workers, he doesn't. Kevin Shigila Irai, when he reached his city, his maidservant brought out a pitcher of water. Barachatz bayada v'raglav, he washed his hands and his feet. She brought out a bowl of gold filled with oil. V'tavel bayada v'raglav, and he dipped in it his hands and his feet. L'kayim ashenema v'toivel b'shem raglai. L'achar she'achal v'shasu, after he ate and drank, modin lo shemen b'shem memei riba, he measured out to him oil worth $1 million dinar. Amalai, he said to him, Klum ata tzarich li'yosef, do you need more? Amalai, hein, but I don't have that. I only brought $1 million with me. El she'ein li damim. Amalai, im ata reitza likach, if you want to take more kach, v'ani eilach imach, I'll travel with you, v'etel damav, and I'll take the remainder. So Madad Lei Shemen, he measured out to him oil, b'shmeina eser ribu, with another 180,000 dinar. Amru, now how's he going to transport 1,180,000 dinars worth of oil? Amru loy hanichu eisei ish loy sus v'loy pered v'loy gama v'loy chamar. This man didn't leave a horse, a mule, a camel, or a donkey be'eretz Yisrael, in the entire Eretz Yisrael, shaloi sakru, that he didn't rent to transport the oil. Kevin Shegil Irai, when he reached the city with all of this oil that they desperately needed, Yatza Anshe Irai, the people of his city, came out l'kalsai, to praise him. Amalahem, he said to them, Loi li kalsuni, don't praise me, el lahasha ba'imi, rather this person that came with me, he even gave me 180,000 dinar on credit. Shemadad li shemen v'mei ribui, harinoy should be b'shmeina eser ribui, and he gave it to me on credit, 180,000 dinar worth of oil. L'kayim ashenemar, and this upholds what it says, Yesh mis asher v'ein ko. There are some people that look like they're wealthy and they have nothing. This is a very sad reality in today's world. There are people that have these gorgeous houses. They don't have the money to pay the mortgage. A long time ago, they stopped making that kind of money, and they're very, 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 very cash poor. So they look wealthy and they have nothing. But then there are people that are misroshish. They drive around a banged up car. They wear a sloppy suit. Mahain Rav, but they're extremely wealthy. Like this man. He was hoeing under his own olive grove. He was moving the racks himself, but he was extremely wealthy. Okay, now, Rabbi Isai, we are perfectly positioned. Again, tomorrow night shir will be 8:45 because the only marav that I have here in the hotel here at the Jewish Heritage Center is at 8:20. So I'm hostage to that marav. So we'll have shir at 8:45, and the daf Matzi Shabbos Matzi Yom Tov again is at 9:45. And now we're going to learn the Mishnah Yomis.